What's up YouTube, it's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series More Than Meets the Eye Collection Gamer Edition Deluxe Class Sideswipe from Transformers Devastation. What a mouthful. But before we take a look at the figure itself, we will take a look at his packaging. So on the front we have pictures of Sideswipe in Robot and Alt Mode, transforms in 16 steps. Transformers Studio Series More Than Meets the Eye Collection Devastation Sideswipe, Hasbro logo there. On this side you have the rest of that picture. You have Autobot logo, Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class. On this side, a nice profile image of Sideswipe. There's his name. There's Studio Series. There's Devastation once again. On the back, a nice screen grab of Sideswipe from the Devastation video game. Devastation Sideswipe. Sideswipe bravely battles Megatron in an attempt to intercept the takeover of the Proud Star. Some more product images here. 16 steps, authentic, barcode, Hasbro. On the bottom, nothing on the top. Devastation More Than Meets the Eye, Sideswipe, Takara Tomy. And one last thing before we take a look at Sideswipe, he does of course include his instruction manual here with a picture of the figure there. Studio Series Devastation More Than Meets the Eye, Sideswipe 8 and up, Takara Tomy and Hasbro. And moving to the figure itself, here is Sideswipe as he appears in the Devastation video game and, for the most part, in Transformers G1. Now, this is supposed to be the Lamborghini that he was in G1, but I'm not sure if it's officially licensed or not. I couldn't tell you, but it does a great job of looking the way it's supposed to. But coming in close on the details, you can see Autobot logo there on the front with some silver headlights and some black there on the front. Nice cel-shaded windows there or windshield rather, with the blue windows. Got my terms backwards. Coming down the side, you have some nice little molded detailing and whatnot. The rims are picked out in a beautiful silver, and they do, of course, roll very well. Coming down the back, more nice detailing, and here on the back you have two orange tail lights looking very nice. There is the top, there is the bottom, and as I mentioned, he does, of course, roll very nicely. And as far as accessories go, Sideswipe does come with two. First of all, he comes with this blaster, as you can see, done in a black plastic, painted over in a beautiful silver. Looks very nice. So you get that, and you do also get his shoulder launcher, once again done in black, but with some white paint on it. And these are two separate pieces. They come separate in the box. You just basically plug one into the other one, and there you go. There's your shoulder launcher. Now these can both store in the alt mode here, and basically how you do that is you just have ports all around and you can store them however you want. Me personally, if I'm going to store them, I'm just going to take one of each, plug them on the opposite sides, and that is not elegant, but it is decent storage. And for a few quick alt mode comparisons, first here is Sideswipe with his wave mate, the Deluxe Class Wheeljack. So you can see how these two look together. Overall, two pretty cool figures that I didn't think I would be super excited about having, but I actually do enjoy having them in the collection. And with one other comparison, here he is with the Devastation Optimus Prime. So you can see how these two look together. Obviously not in scale, but both are pretty good figures nonetheless. And that's about all I have to say for the alt mode. Not a whole lot to talk about. Looks pretty nice. Looks like a G1/Devastation Sideswipe, and I can't complain about that. I do appreciate the way this figure turned out. But we are going to go ahead and transform him now. So the first thing we want to do is come under here, take these black panels, and just pull them up like so. And that will allow us to take this entire back section and swing it around like so. Now what you want to do is you want to get his feet out, and there is a easy way to do this. You just pull this section up like that. You can see how I'm bringing this whole section back, and that will allow you more clearance to pull the feet down. If you just try to pull them down with your fingernail, it's not going to go very well. It is very hard, trust me, speaking from experience. Now these two tabs will go into these two slots down here. Just tab those together and split the legs, and then rotate at the waist, and there you have the lower body of Sideswipe already complete. Now the second part we want to do is just untab these panels, get them out of the way, and that will allow us to take his arms and bring them out. You also kind of want to bring them up on the shoulder joint there, just to get them out of the way. Do the same thing on the other side. Bring them out and up, and then you take these panels and fold them back into the body like so. And now what you want to do is come here, untab this piece and bring it up. That will reveal the face, and then you want to take this whole section, bring it down, and you do have a tab that will go into that slot right there. So just bring that down, tab that in like so. And for the finishing touches, bring his shoulders down, bring his elbows down, and flip his wrist out. Do the same thing on the other side, shoulder down, elbow down, flip the wrist out, and there is Sideswipe kind of in robot mode, but as we did with Wheeljack, you do of course need to bring in the shoulder launcher to give him the full look. Now you're going to want to use the tab, not the post here, and that will just tab into that slot right there. And now there is a very nice, accurate looking Sideswipe. And I must admit, after not being super excited to get this figure when I ordered it, it has pleasantly surprised me. A very fun transformation, and what you get here in robot mode is pretty cool. But coming in close on the details, his head is kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see in there, he's got blue eyes with the gray faceplate, a little bit of darker gray / black for the helmet itself. You do, of course, just have all these details you've already seen in alt mode, with a little bit of white there on the waist area, some white on the legs, white arms, with a little bit of molded detailing, some silver on the feet. Not a whole lot going on, but that is, of course, accurate to these designs. Backpack-wise, nothing really to see here. I think it looks pretty good. Just one minor complaint. I feel like maybe his chest is a little too wide. I wish they could have found a way to kind of like compress that in a little bit, but that is a very minor complaint. Overall, I think the robot mode looks pretty cool. And as far as articulation, you do get quite a bit. I'm going to move this shoulder piece just to show it off a little better. But the head can look up pretty high, down can look down a little bit. It can rotate a full 360, all on a ball joint, of course, so you do get side-to-side movement. The arms can do a full 360. They can move in and out. You do get a bicep rotation. You get over or right about, rather, 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. No wrist rotation, unfortunately, like we got with Wheeljack, but you do get a full 360 of a waist rotation. The legs can kick forward that far, backward, about as far as you need them to go. Outward, you can get a full split. You do get a little bit of thigh rotating up in there. You get a little less than 90 degrees of bend at the knee, and you do get a nice deep ankle pivot. So for a modern deluxe, I would say this guy's articulation is right at par. And of course we can bring in his other accessory, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but both accessories are compatible with the blast effects of the modern age. But this can be both stored and wielded. It can be stored just here on the back. You can just plug it this way, plug it that way, plug it that way. However you want, you can plug it into the back there and store it. If you really want, you can also plug it into the shoulder or the forearm. But me personally, I'm going to go the simple method and just have Sideswipe holding his gun right like that, and you can have him nice and armed up. And now rapid firing through some robot mode comparisons. First here is Sideswipe with his wave mate, the Devastation Deluxe Wheeljack. So you can see how these two look together. Both two very good looking figures, surprisingly. Happily pleased with this wave of more than meets the eye figures. Here he is with the Studio Series Deluxe Devastation Optimus Prime. So you can see how those two look together. And I do think all of these three Devastation figures have been pretty cool so far from Studio Series. And for some Sideswipes of the past, first here he is with Studio Series Dark of the Moon Sideswipes. You can see how he looks with that figure. Love that figure and that mold. And speaking of that mold, here he is with the Revenge of the Fallen Studio Series version. So you can see how that looks together. Pretty much the same exact figure, but figured I'd throw it in there too. And last but not least, even though no, it's not Sideswipe, him and Sunstreaker always look the same, so I can only assume that he would have looked like this in the Bumblebee movie, just a red version and a different head sculpt. So there you go. There you can see how he may have looked in the Bumblebee movie. And of course, last but certainly not least, here he is with a CG image of how he appeared in Transformers Devastation, so you can see how close they got him to how he appeared in the video game, and as I did with Wheeljack, I think they did a great job with Sideswipe. So this has been my review for the Transformers Studio Series More Than Meets the Eye Collection Gamer Edition Deluxe Class Sideswipe from Transformers Devastation. And overall, just another fun figure from this More Than Meets the Eye line and the Devastation subline of Studio Series. Looks good in robot mode, looks even better in alt mode, and the transformation, while simple, is fun to go back and forth in between. The accessories that are included with the figure are very nice, one done in a beautiful silver and the other his very iconic shoulder missile / shoulder blaster. The articulation is good, not quite as good as Wheeljack because Wheeljack did fit in a wrist rotation. Unfortunately, Sideswipe didn't get that privilege, but overall still moves very good for a modern deluxe. Now, if I had to recommend this figure, certainly would. I think he's a fun figure. If I had to rate him on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give him the same rating I did to Wheeljack with an 8.5 out of 10. I think they are both solid, fun figures, nothing extraordinary, but far from terrible. Very, very fun to mess around with. So he gets an 8.5 out of 10. Certainly recommend him, especially if you can find him for a on sale price or a clearance price. So this has been my review for Sideswipe. Don't forget, never sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I'll see you all soon with more new figures. This time we'll be jumping over to Age of the Primes. And until then, roll out. Peace.